Well, welcome to the fifth part of the um, labor force participation and occupational segregation lecture of the gender economics course. Well, this course is basically introduction to the feminist economics, and it is prepared for the Middle Technical University Northern Cyprus campus. And we were basically looking to how actually we were talking about different factors that could basically make women choose, let's say, certain fields which are actually bringing a smaller level of income compared with the fields that are chosen by the males. And we have told that actually the flexibility might be one choice because that might be women's preferences, or assuming that in the end they won't be able to advance in those fields much might be also one reason. And also another reason could be they might be thinking that they won't be able to successful enough because they don't have sufficient level of skills. On both of these things actually we will talk more. Let's start with the case of let's say assumption of not assumption that the woman won't be able to advance in their careers as much as possible. This case actually is represented with this graph. In this case, EF, the difference between EF and CF part, this area was the benefit of the a person who actually would work work for 43 years after 4 years of education, basically up to age 60s. In that case, the benefit is large, but assuming, for example, a woman will have actually a certain period between the years 4 and 20 outside of the labor market, probably because they have a child and they need to care for the child, and starting to getting into the labor market again. Well, as you see, the difference between the difference that is actually representing the gain is actually much smaller. Although actually there is a mistake here. We should actually look what will be the benefit for the woman, the income of the woman, if they actually are a high school graduate and they start to they get into the labor market at the year 20, basically. Probably at least they will start somewhere here, so actually the benefit will be slightly higher, but still probably lower than the one in this chart. So that's actually this type of gap is called motherhood penalty, and in case of labor force participation, you could see once it was there. Today maybe its effect is much less, at least in the labor force participation rate, but still it might have some effects, especially it might have effects as we have seen before. Women might prefer lower hours and more flexibility. Well, that might be because the household work, as we have seen also in the previous lectures, it might be seen still as the responsibility of the woman. So they might want to be able to work in the household whenever it is necessary, and that might be also hurting their chance to advance in the fields where actually there could be more where they could get a higher level of income. In addition, of course, even if they work in full time, still when their responsibility of in the household is seen primary, their mind might be occupied with the problems in the household more compared with men, because that's their responsibility, and that might also hurt them their actually performance and also ability to ability to earn high income and get into the fields where that high income is possible. Actually, in the United States, some employers are asking whether you are married or not when they offer you a job, and that's actually the marriage might be seen as something binding, basically, and they prefer at least women who are not married yet. In some people, and in some cases, actually, this is also illegal. It's actually. This might also be illegal in some cases to ask whether a woman is married or not. I think in academia, especially, the job market rules when there are interviews, the universities should not ask whether the woman is married or not. I don't know the other fields and other job interviews, so maybe it's also true for there, but I don't know, to be honest. And the other thing, the other thing related to the marriage is they don't ask the man whether they are married. Why? Because when men are married, their wives are much more likely to move to the country or to the place where they work, because career of the woman is seen secondary. So when the companies are offering job to the woman, they think actually they might move, they might actually change place, go to another city, whenever there is a career opportunity for men in another city. And in countries like Turkey and maybe in Europe also, this mobility is not that high. But in the United States, surprisingly, that mobility can happen. It is something the companies might need to account for. As for the other thing, basically abilities, we should note that women from the beginning on, they might have different socialization compared with the man, because boys and girls, they actually when they are child and when they become adolescents, they need to socialize in their own spheres, but those spheres are actually providing a different culture, and that culture itself might be something that might be getting women away from them, activities which will let them gain abilities necessary for engineering or IT type of work. And actually, in order to socialize, you should not be that much interested in those abilities. And a similar thing might be also true for the boys. I mean, they might not, as we have seen in the care work part, they might not want to specialize in things related to care work, especially. That's more girlish. I mean, some activity boys won't actually. Boys should not participate in. And in addition to that, also the perception is one thing. I mean, assuming women are not able to do that might have an effect on the woman's performance. And there actually there is an experiment which is mentioned in this article. It is actually, of course, this is stereotype part. But yes, this one. Well, they have taken both women and men to the test, and in one case they said before they were taking the tests, the math test, the women and men are generally having the similar score in that test. And then they had another group taking the same test, but now they have in the previous presentation they tell that women are in general having a smaller, less inferior score compared with the man. And women's score in the second case is lower. So just the announcement itself, which tells actually women are not able to do that, might have its effect. And that effect is actually a very interesting effect. How it works, I don't know. Maybe when you are more stuck in a question, you might think, oh, well, people like me are not able to do this question anyway. Maybe that's the effect. But it's an interesting test, and it's showing an interesting effect, and it shows that the perception that a certain group is not able to do certain things, it might actually affect the performance of the people in that group. So, well, this is for the fields the women and men are choosing, well, other things that are affecting the human capital are the on-job training and the experience, basically. Well, women had less experience in previous in 1970s compared with men, and also women had less job tenure, which means they changed job a lot. So even if they have general experience, they might not have experience in the company they work. But now actually both gaps are closed, which might also be the reason actually the wage gap between men and women is also closing. And the second thing, the on-job training. For that, we should mention actually the other model here. We should note there are two types of training. One is the general training, which is taken by the person. Usually the costs are paid by the person because it's giving a general skill to the person, like learning Spanish. That can be used by any company, so you can quit the company, but the skill is still helping you. And there actually still you are considering about the cost you pay and then benefits, the potential increase in the income level you will get. You don't have breakpoint here because basically you don't take into account, you don't have basically, you are not quitting job, so you are doing on-job training, so you are still working while you are getting trained. So the first thing is the first part is very similar to the education, only there's no breakpoint, and then you have this part. I mean, you might have a specific training. That specific training can be only used in the company you are working in. And usually in the model that you have, well, workers might pay part of the costs and may also get part of the benefit in terms of the wage increase. But employers might also pay part of the costs, and they might also get some additional benefit, which is created because productivity of the person after the training will increase. However, wage won't increase as much as the productivity, so that employers can get some benefits out of it. And this on-job training is more given to the man than woman. Why? Again, the motherhood penalty factor is here. Basically, the idea is, well, after the training, women might just quit the job for at this certain period and then restart the job. So actually, the potential benefits might again be reduced. And those perceptions, especially, but even if the younger generation doesn't experience this, the type of problems experienced by the older generation, I mean motherhood penalty, things like that, still the memory of the older generation is still there. Some of them are still working, which might be affecting the on-job training choices of the companies. So the companies traditionally give less, let's say, space for on-job training to the woman than man. Well, and again, this is the extreme case, but even if there is not actual break here, it might be also possible that women might not work as hard as they want, or they might take the training but still move to another place, to another company, because their husband's job is more important. And they might also not be able to concentrate as much as the man. That all of these are possibilities, basically. So, before we go to the conclusion, I want to show you. Actually, let's go to the conclusion first, and then I will show you the data. Maybe we are coming to the 15 minutes mark, so let's see first the conclusion. So this is actually the idea of the human capital model. Well, maybe women, because they got higher education, they start at a higher wage. But because men get jobs where the wages are able to increase more drastically in future, male jobs increase faster than women. And at some point, male jobs might be taken over the female jobs, also because they got on-job training, which increases human capital. And in the end, men will start to earn more than women. And in the end of their life career, even though in the beginning this was not the case, men would have earned more due to their increased human capital than women. So we will talk more on that in the next part. See you in the next part.